Meet our protagonist. They just landed a solid promotion, complete with a respectable new salary. Yet, sitting alone in a dim room and checking the bank balance, they feel exactly the same crushing financial stress they felt a year ago. The common belief is that an empty bank account is strictly an income problem. We assume the only logical way to fix it is to negotiate a larger paycheck. Yet millions of people eventually hit their target salary and still find themselves desperately waiting for the 1st and 15th of the month just to clear their basic bills. A bigger paycheck alone fails to address the quiet, consistent leaks draining your money from the inside. To actually escape the stress of living paycheck to paycheck, you have to defeat two distinct enemies: the mathematical penalty of having too little and the psychological trap of having just enough. Let's look back at our protagonist's earlier years working a minimum wage job to understand how the bottom rung of the income ladder actually functions. This is where the poverty penalty kicks in. When you lack upfront capital, basic daily survival becomes structurally more expensive. This chart shows the classic Boots theory of socioeconomic unfairness. Notice the $100 column on the right, representing a high-quality pair of work boots that lasts 5 years. On the left, we see a $20 pair of boots. Because $20 is all the cash you have on hand today, you are forced to buy the cheap pair. Over that same 5-year stretch, those cheap boots break down again and again. You end up spending $200 for wet, uncomfortable feet, while the person with capital spent half that amount and stayed dry. The math gets worse when an emergency hits. Without cash reserves, a broken radiator means turning to short-term payday lenders. A borrowed $300 carries interest rates that can exceed 400%, turning a minor mechanical fix into thousands of dollars of compounding debt. Low cash flow also blocks you from buying basic necessities in bulk. You buy single toilet paper rolls and small bags of rice at the corner store, paying a premium per unit for every single meal and household chore. Poverty operates as an active, relentless tax. Small, forced disadvantages add up over time, draining every spare dollar and making it nearly impossible to save. Fast forward to today. Our protagonist's recent promotion provides enough cash flow to buy the good boots and avoid the payday lender entirely. But new money creates new psychological hurdles. Enter lifestyle inflation, the immediate, compelling urge to align your spending habits with your new, higher salary. Surplus cash creates the temptation to voluntarily take on bad debt. Suddenly, the reliable used car feels outdated, so you finance a brand new one. You celebrate the promotion with a luxury vacation, swiping a high-interest credit card to cover the gap. Looking wealthy and actually holding capital are entirely different states. Flashing designer clothes and new car keys creates the illusion of success, but an empty wallet leaves you completely vulnerable to a single missed paycheck. Upgrading to a spacious luxury apartment feels like a well-earned reward. In reality, it locks in permanently higher fixed monthly rent and utility costs that immediately consume the entirety of your raise. By voluntarily manufacturing new, expensive liabilities to match an increased income, the middle class traps itself. You neutralize the financial power of your promotion. The numbers get bigger, but the balance stays zero. Breaking out of this holding pattern requires redefining wealth. It is measured strictly by how much of your money is actively working to generate more money. The math relies on distinguishing between two categories. The liability is something you own that continually drains cash out of your pocket, like a car lease. An asset is something you own that puts cash into your pocket. The first step to acquiring assets is intentionally capping your lifestyle expectations. When you get a raise, pretend you didn't. Keep your spending flat and direct the new surplus into building a solid cash buffer. That cash buffer serves as an absolute shield. If the transmission blows, you pay in cash instead of sliding backward into the brutal math of high-interest emergency loans. This flowchart shows the exact mechanism for building wealth. Redirect your surplus away from consumer goods so it fills the assets bucket. Because our protagonist kept their older car and apartment, their portfolio continuously returns cash to their income stream, multiplying their money. Achieving financial freedom means consciously directing your cash flow to acquire assets. Doing so breaks the forced, expensive cycle of the poverty penalty and neutralizes the voluntary trap of spending exactly what you earn.